Speculating on sports cards is far from a sure thing. It requires knowledge of the cards, knowledge of the players, critical thinking, and a kick-butt tool like market movers. From baseball, basketball, and football, and even Marvel, from tears of joy to tears of sorrow, I'm sharing with you my biggest wins and losses from the last 3 years. Come Data Dive. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Data Dive, powered by Market Movers. My name is Tyler Nethercott, better known as TPott, and today I'm pulling back the hood a bit and I'm sharing with you some of my biggest wins and biggest losses from all time in card sales. As always, this video is brought to you by Market Movers, the hands down best way to track your entire collection. Visit marketmoversapp.com and use promo code DIVE when you check out. This now gets you 14 days completely free to try out Market Movers and then 20% off for life as long as you're subscribed. Now let's get into the data. Now, this goes back several years. This goes back to when I started putting my collection into Market Movers back in 2020. And I'm gonna start with the cards that are my biggest wins. And my biggest win, believe it or not, is not from back during the boom, when there were definitely a lot of opportunities. It's from this last month, essentially. It's from about a month and a half ago. And that starts with Shohei Ohtani. Now, I've been a little more cautious and a little more calculating since the speculation game has changed. It used to just be, back in the good old days, everything was going to the moon rapidly. It was hard to miss on any card. Well, this was a totally different scenario. And I sat and I thought about it and I looked at it and I could see the hype around Ohtani and I started thinking about him and I just said, look, this guy is an actual generational talent. I think that term gets abused and thrown around pretty loosely. He's actually the guy. It was Mike Trout in the 2010s. I think it's now his current, at least, teammate, Shohei Ohtani, who is the new guy kind of on the block, who's here to stay, hopefully. He's a little older, but he's obviously dominating the headlines, and I saw the potential, pitching and hitting, to put up WAR numbers unlike any other player could potentially do, and to win back-to-back MVPs potentially. Now beyond this card, I still actually own some more Ohtanis. I've moved some, I still have some. I think he's a good long-term investment, and I really struggled with this card. Scotty B cards helped me out. I told him a few months ago, back in maybe early to mid-February, I said, I'm gonna start looking for some big Ohtanis. I really wanna put a decent chunk of money into him specifically. It was a bit of a gamble. Usually I like to diversify. I said I'm going big and kind of eggs in one basket in this case because I felt so good about him. And Scotty helped me track down this card through a private sale, which was on Twitter and Instagram. Made a deal with Saratoga Slabs. Go follow him on Instagram or Twitter if you're out there, Saratoga Slabs. Worked out a deal with him for this card and I purchased this card essentially for $4,000. That is in a price range that, I'll be honest, I normally do not dabble in, but I had money and profits that from other cards set aside, and I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go with this. I felt like the floor on a card like this, on his gold refractor PSA 10, was very, very high relative to the risk of what this the potential of what this card could do. So at the $4,000 price point, relative to other cards, obviously Ohtani has a number of different golds to 50 because he had so many different rookie cards back in 2018, but he doesn't have the Bowman Chrome First refractors and other cards to compete with these at the same time. Flash forward, I saw this card going up. I got to the point where I was like, I'm just gonna take it to the National, I'm gonna bring it with me, and then I thought, you know what? No, I'm gonna try to float this out there. I've mentioned this in the past, had a bunch of home repairs, tons of stuff, way more than I care to talk about over the last few months. And I said, I'd like to take this money and actually put it back into my family's needs, transfer right out of the card budget and into paying off some of those necessities around the house. And I listed it and I ultimately worked out a deal for this card, a private sale transaction. And I actually sold this card for $6,400 cash plus about $1,100 in card trade value. So all in all, $7,500 is about a $3,500 profit on this card. I was really, really happy with that. This has everything to me to do with just taking the profit when it's there and not worrying about the rest. This card could double again, in my opinion. I don't think I'm blowing smoke. I think it could go up to easily 10. It might sell for 10 today, 15,000, maybe more. You could keep projecting forward, but I always say, I'll take the money when I can on a card like this. Next one on the list is this Fernando Tatis Jr. I don't have a photo of this. This is from so long ago that we didn't even have the ability to upload manual photos for your cards back in 2020. So I don't have a picture of it, but this is a Fernando Tatis Jr. Color Blast rookie card, I believe. Obviously PSA 10, not a rookie card, it's 2020, so it's the next year. PSA 10, and I had this card, I bought it for $269. I sold it, looks like 5 months later, a little less than 5 months later, and I sold it for $2,400. That's almost $1,800 profit on this card. Now what's really interesting, I can pull this up and I can see that this card most recently sold, it looks like, for $305. So pretty happy about the timing on that one. Similar story with this Kyler Murray Optic Downtown. This is a rookie card, PSA 10. I bought this card, I didn't have a purchase date on this, but I think this one was a relatively quick flip. Bought it sometime in 2020, late 2020, and flipped it for $1,700 in profit. I got in early on a couple of things that really paid off. One of those was Kabooms. Not as much as I would have liked, but I saw Kabooms, I saw that they were short printed. I saw that people really weren't paying attention to the older ones. So what happened, and this happens sometimes, when you see an insert or a parallel or something go crazy in a new product release and people catch onto it, they either don't know that there are older ones that exist because there's fewer of them, or they're just not saving searches and actively looking for them. So when you can go in and scoop on the older ones at a discount or even at the same price point as the higher printed newer ones, sometimes that can really work out to your advantage. I took advantage of the hype around Christian Pulisic as well as the Kaboom craze. This is a PSA 9 of this card. I sold it back in June of 2021 for a little under $1,800, $1,750. And again, we can look at this card and see, have any of these sold? It looks like one sold for $382 on June 22nd of this year. So again, obviously the market was very, very different back in that time. And that goes back to me saying, when you can take the profit, take it, move on, keep working through that. I've been able to grow my card collection in general by doing that, as well as pay off some other bills. I got the Giannis. This was back from 2016. This one was hard for me to separate with, but this again had to do with just saying, you know what? I need this money to relocate to Atlanta. So I moved that card. The Trae Young was the same exact situation. Sold this one for almost a $1,300 profit. This one's a pretty crazy story. This Luka Pink Ice. This one I'll say I feel like I kind of got lucky on this. It again had to do with me just saying, I want to take the profit. This was at a time when I thought, okay, things might still keep going up, keep going up. I ultimately sold this card. I bought it for $1,800, and then I sold it 5 months later for $3,300. Looks like and then you have to take the fees out, $485. It was about $1,000 profit, okay? So let's look at this card and look at all data on this card to see the high point. The high point for this card was $3,600. If we go down one rung, it's down at $2,800. I was right in between here. I was right around the high point. I guess you could say it was right around here, right? $3,300. That's rare. It's rare to hit almost the peak on a card all time at any point, and I got lucky on this one, made $1,000. This Kylian Mbappe I actually bought raw. I saw these. I saw against soccer. I saw Mbappe blowing up. I thought he had a lot of potential. Bought it for $350, or maybe it was $300, and then the grading fee $50. Sent it in, and ended up selling this card for $1,300. No fees, private sale, almost $1,000 in profit. And then the last one to mention here. This was the biggest win that I've had collectively on kind of a sneaky bet, and it's also one that I wish I could have gone in way more on and really thought about going more in on. Could have been kind of life-changing money for my family, was the Marvel PMGs. These things, believe it or not, a few years ago, there were a couple eBay sellers that just had them listed like crazy. I was on Instagram just scrolling through my feed, and I saw that somebody posted one of these and was like, whoa, didn't know those existed. That's super cool. This was several years ago. This was like back in 2020-ish, and I started scooping them. The thing I didn't do was I didn't pay up for the biggest characters like Spider-Man and Wolverine and those other ones. And because of that, I ended up with maybe 25 of these in a stack of the lower tier guys, Gambit and others. And this is obviously a really cool card. You've got Iron Man versus Thor. I bought all of these. There was the huge run up on them. I moved them, many of them at Culture Collision, not this year, but the year before. and sold them for a really, really nice profit. Like collectively for them, I think it was about $10,000 in profit that I made moving all of these cards. But that Spider-Man card you may have seen, and others, man, those things shot up to the moon. Some of them into the six-figure range. I could have probably bought that Spider-Man card for like $100, $150, and it went up to like 100K in some cases. So obviously, you take the good with the bad. I'm not going to complain about, having this stack of cards and getting out early in front of these. The whole reason I saw these was because I'm like, there's this crossover happening, with myself included, from sports card collecting into MCU related stuff and into the Marvel card stuff. And I thought, why wouldn't sports fans who know PMGs instantly gravitate toward these? And that is in fact what happened about a year later. So really cool on that. That's the last one. Those are my wins. Let's shift gears and look at some losses, which obviously we just have to admit. You have to take the losses, the good with the bad. Sometimes you just have to cut your losses and move on. The biggest loss that I've had, I mentioned having sold the Luka near the peak, that pink ice Luka. Well, I bought this Lamar Jackson PSA 10 Holo near the peak, and that really didn't work out for me. Now, while many cards went up in 2021, Lamar Jackson did not. Let's take a look at that. So we can go back. You can see that this card actually hit a high point of about $2,800. But then if we come down here, $2,300, same as the Luka, only in the opposite scenario. Yeah, I lost money on this. However, the most recent sale of this card is $250. And the Jeff did a video, I don't remember when, last year at some point, basically talking about the importance of cutting your losses. Don't sit and cling to cards saying, well, I'm too far into this, I'm in the red, I gotta wait for it to come back. It might not come back. And you might be better off just saying, I'm gonna take the $1,300 loss on this card. I sold it for $700. I bought it for a little over $2,000. I'm gonna take the loss and then take that $700 and put it back into something that has a higher probability of going back up. So that's what happened with the Lamar Jackson. He just was hot, won the MVP. I thought he would keep it running for a few years, felt good about it, saw the market trending up. It didn't work out on that particular card. Here's another one, and this is one I held on to way too long. I just moved this card. It's a Kevin Durant. It's a Topps Chrome. I actually just traded out of this. Trade plus like $30 in cash. Traded it to Jordan Riker. Go follow him on Instagram, Jordan's Cards. And we worked out a deal. I said, I gotta just move on from this KD. It's a PSA 9. It's his Topps Chrome flagship card. I bought this card actually without even knowing it on MySlabs from Brad, Comeback Card Investor. He had it listed on MySlabs. So kudos. If Brad were making a video like this, he'd be saying, hey, I made a lot of money on this card. Bought it for like $1,200. And I ended up basically with cash and trade value moving out of it for about $210 very recently. It's a $1,000 loss on that card. This Karl Anthony Towns, what's up with Towns? I expected Towns to take off at some point or to get traded. I expected one of those two things to happen. I was certain it would happen. There's a color match, absolutely beautiful rookie card. I mean, look at this thing. That's about as good looking as any rookie card gets, in my opinion. And this guy was really, really good. And he's still good. He's just kind of stuck in Minnesota and stuck in coasting mode, it feels like, and hasn't been traded. So I bought this card for $1,400. I sold it for $1,000. I lost $440. But let's look and see if we have any evidence as to where this card is right now. $450 now. So I got out of it at a better price point than that. I could be down another $600. The Ja Morant image variation here, this is a really, really interesting one. I just finally gave up on it. I really thought image variations would catch on more. I thought these are kind of sneaky. It was the first time, I believe, maybe the second time actually, 2014 they also did this, that they put image variations for Prism into the set. Topps obviously does this a lot for baseball, and I thought, you know what? The pop count here is like really low. I think the price though just never worked out. The base PSA 10 that's printed to the moon from 2019 is about half the value of the image variation cards. So I finally just gave up on this card and said, I'm gonna move out of this, move on. I'm sure this card has actually gone down in value since then as well. Last one here I wanna talk about is this DeAndre Hunter. This is just kind of a case of speculation gone wrong. So let's look at this card. I bought it for $450. I really thought DeAndre Hunter had a lot of potential. He's obviously skilled defensively. He's a good on-the-ball defender. And I saw him starting to shoot really well in his second season, and then he got hurt, and then he came back, and then he didn't play well, and now it's like, what's ever gonna become of DeAndre Hunter? So I ultimately moved out of this card about 8 months after I bought it. Bought it for $450, sold it for $191, $259 loss. So there are a few important principles that I stand by, like I said before. When you can take the money, take it. Don't wait too long. There's a philosophical question I ask people when they're like, hey, do you think I should hold this card or sell it now? I'm up on it big, but it might go up more. I just say, ask yourself this question. Are you the type of person who would be more upset and more haunted by selling a card too early for profit, or by selling a card too late and winding up with a loss? I prefer to take the profit early and then risk potentially that it could go up more. It's guaranteed money. So take it and put it back into your collection or whatever else you need the funds for, which lately, like I said, for me, has been my house. I'd love to hear your thoughts and reactions down below in the comments. And if you want to get this data, go to marketmoversapp.com and use that promo code DIVE. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, happy investing, keep on collecting, and make sure to have fun.